Hey guys, it's Woody here coming at you from USA Made Blade, and just here to give kind of a quick beginner's guide to buying Hinders. If you're just starting to look at buying a Hinder knife, we know it's a good size investment for a knife, but it's something you're not going to regret. Uh, just ask anybody who has one. It's so rare you're going to hear anybody say anything negative. But with Hinder knives, there's a lot to learn. As a dealer, we've only been a dealer now for about a year and a half, maybe pushing 2 years, and there was definitely a learning curve. So thought I would do a quick video just to get you started understanding a few of the things about the Hinder knives. Some of them are pretty simple and explanatory, but some are a little more difficult to understand. For those that are Hinder nuts, you're going to notice as we start this video that there are a few models that are missing. And that's because we don't have them in stock. So when they come, they're gone so quick, we can't keep them and obviously can't talk about them. But the other thing you're going to notice is that we're not talking about fixed blades. With the fixed blades, kind of the same thing. They're done in small batches. We get them in, they're gone. We'll never be able to keep enough fixed blades to compare them all to each other. So let's just get started, and I'll try to explain this the best I can as we go. But starting here at the top, this is called the Hender Xm 24, and in current production, this is the largest folder that they're currently making, and it's got a 4-inch blade. This happens to be the Wharncliffe model. The next up, this is the Hinder Xm 18. Now you're going to hear the Xm 18 referred to as the Xm 18 3.5, and then you're also going to hear about the Xm 18 3-inch. The 3-inch hadn't been produced much lately. They've done some small batches and they're hard to find, but this is the 3.5-inch version. So 3.5-inch blade. This happens to be the Spanto model, which is one of the most popular Hinder knives out there, and for good reason. I think it's kind of one of the knives that put them on the map. The next knife down, and actually the next two down, are the newest Hinderer models that were released this past year at SHOT Show. And this is the Hinder MP1, and it's got a 3.25-inch blade. And then the smallest Hinder that's been made as far as a folder to date, this is the Hinder Half Track, which has a 2.5-inch cutting blade. So both the Half Track and the MP1, that knife does not want to stay put. The Half Track and the MP1 currently only come in full tie. So that means that the presentation side of the knife has a titanium scale on it, whereas most of the others, the 18, 3.5, and the XM 24, typically come with a G10 scale side, and then they sell the tie side, if you want a tie side to replace the G10 scale and the liner. Those are typically sold separately. So these are kind of the Half Track and the MP1 are kind of limited runs, and then you'll have to buy them in G10 when they come out with them and add the tie scale when you're ready. So the next thing I want to talk about is just the different models that are out there, or profiles, I should say. So as you've seen with the MP1, and the Half Track, those are the only profiles that are currently being made. So I feel sure that will change in the future, but don't quote me. Rick's never told me that, and neither has Rob. But we already showed you, this is the Wharncliffe model, and the Wharncliffe comes in both the 24, and put that back out here. So the 24 as far as recent production, and the 18 has been done as a fatty. We'll get into what the fatty means in a minute. This is the XM24 spear point, and you can just see most of the time when there's differences in the blade, it's coming down to how the blade is ground at the end of the knife, and basically how it tapers off at the tip. So that was the spear point version. They have made that recently in both the 24 and the 18 3.5. Next up, let's jump over to a Bowie. The Bowies have been made in the past year or so, year and a half. And as you can see, got the Bowie blade on it. And once again, it tapers down a little bit different on the blade, but those were made in both the 3.5 and 4-inch. I think the 4-inch I don't think there are many of those left at dealers, but I could be wrong. Next up, we're going to show you the Skinner. And got this little tapering up here at the end. See how that point finishes off there, as you can compare it to others. And the Skinner they did in the 3.5 and in the 24 4-inch model. So next from there, let's go over to finishes. The finishes is where people seem to get the most confused, and I can understand it. As a dealer, we certainly screwed some things up when getting started, and even done it recently as a few months ago. So let's just start with your basic finish. And I shouldn't say basic, but this is probably the most popular, but it's the stonewash finish. And basically that means that the titanium and the blade itself are put into a tumbler with some stones. If you don't know what all that is, you can look it up. But this is their stonewash finish, which a lot of knives are done in basic stonewash. Now, while I'm talking about their stonewashing, let me close this up. If you get your new Hinder and you look in this jimping, you're going to see a little bit of bronze look to it. You'll also see it back here on the flipper. That is just basically when it's stonewashed, that those stones are so thick that they're not getting in there. So it leaves a little bit of bronze looking color to it. Some people freak out and think it's rust. Don't worry, it's not. But this is a stonewashed finish. So let's move from that over, let's pick back up this 24 warning. This is called a working finish. And you'll notice compared to the stonewash finish that the working finish is a little bit darker. It's also almost looks a little smoother, but it's got a little bit of wear in it. It's a bead blast finish. And this is done on both the blade and the tie. And working finish is very popular. It holds up very well. It's a great finish. So you'll hear people say full working finish, which means the knife and the titanium are both working finish. So we're going to move from there, and this is where things got tricky for me, and I'm going to do my best to explain it to you. So the next finish I'm going to jump all the way up to is just a black DLC finish. So as you can see, everything on here is black coated, and sorry with the light fragmenting off of this, but the tie side, everything is black coated, and then you have the stonewashed or polished nuts here, and the finish on this is completely smooth. It looks completely clean, and that is just a black DLC coated finish. So the next we're going to jump to is what's called a battle black finish, and this blade is battle black. Now, battle black means that it was DLC coated or black coated and then tumbled, which means you can see that it's got a slight bit of wear to it. If you're familiar with other knives, some people call it a black wash finish, but it's just more of a washed finish. So it's been tumbled and just a little bit of wear to it. Now, we don't have any of these to show you today, but there's also an anthracite and a battle anthracite finish. Basically the same concept. So the anthracite finish has a very smooth looking finish to it, and the battle anthracite has the stone washing effect or the worn effect to it. Next, let's talk about the difference between battle bronze. So here's one of their battle bronze knives. Now, battle bronze is basically a working finish that has then been anodized bronze. And by the way, every knife I'm showing you came from Hinderer anodized. We did not anodize these in-house. So this is a battle bronze on the bottom, and then we have just a bronze anodized, and I'm using the half track as the example up here, tie side. So this is just bronze ano. The battle bronze is the working finish that has been anodized, and the bronze finish is a stonewash finish that's been anodized. So a bronze finish is going to be brighter, more reflective, and the battle bronze is going to be more muted. The same concept holds true with the battle blue, which is a working finish that has been anodized blue, and a blue anodized stonewash finish. So if it says blue anodized, it's going to be shinier. If it says battle blue, it's going to be more muted and even slightly a little bit darker. Now, some of this carries over to the blade finish. This knife here happens to be what's called an FDE coat, which is basically instead of DLC coat, it's a flat dark earth coat. There are still some of these out at dealers. They're getting a little harder to find, but that's what that coat means. Same goes for the blade. So battle black is going to be tumbled finish, and a black DLC blade, which the only one I have is on this half track, is going to be the smoother finish. So that's kind of a quick overview of just the different finishes. There's still more out there. It's amazing how many different finishes and different things that Hinderer does. We do anodize our knives, but we also make it very clear that the Hinderers we sell that are anodized, that we've done them and not someone else, and we separate that between what comes from Hinderer anodized. But that's just a quick overview, something to get you started if you're looking at Hinderer knives. We hope you'll check them out. I've been carrying Hinderer knives for a good while and just blown away, especially at their folders. It's what I carry the most of and use every day, and they're amazingly well made. They fit so well in the hand, and Hinderer just always continues to knock it out of the park. I'm sure I'm leaving 1,000 things out. Hinderer has so many models and so many different things that they do. But if you ever have questions about any of them or any of the ones on our site, or you're just getting started looking, if I can help you out at all, feel free to shoot me an email to scott@usamadeblade.com. That's Scott with 2 T's at usamadeblade.com, and I'll do everything I can to help you. As always, we're a proud dealer for Hinderer knives and very thankful to be able to sell them. And if you're looking for some, we hope you'll check ours out at usamadeblade.com. And as always, thank you for watching.